Okay.
Right. All right, this
All
is your
right.
time,
So
Kevin.
yeah, so this fucking round, last fucking round was insane. As it usually is, I feel like for a merge, first round of merge, I feel like, I feel like what basically ended up happening was, for a little bit, I was very much considering like the OG Carval thing. I trust Aaron, I trust Chantel, I trusted Lee. And I was like, fuck yeah, let's stick together. Let's, pagon some, let's pagon all the other, like incendio fuckers because I've never really done that before. I thought it would be fun to do that. But then I hear some information from Jess, and Jess ends up telling me that like, David's throwing our names out, and we can't trust him, and he's in a group with like Chantal and Aaron, which again, like I am none the wiser to because my reads are just not it in this game. They're not fucking there. Even if they were there, it's like the reads at this point they're not even there. They're like they're not legible at this point. That's like the best way to sum it up. They're not even legible in terms of reads. But so yeah, once this happens, I pretty much realize that I cannot vote with Carve Out this round because David's throwing my name out. I eventually get word that Josh is also throwing my name out. So what ends up happening is we create this group of sorts with Brett, Lucy, Brian, and Joe. And it's at first called Meeting with Brett, eventually is changed to the High Life. And the plan is to try to change where the power of the game is coming from. We don't want this pagoning to happen. We don't want these people to stay in power. And we have a plan at first to go for David. And I was fully on board with that. David's throwing my name out. David is kind of like the head of the snake right now. I feel like we're like, he's the one that's in power. He's the only person in the game that I legitimately feel I just cannot trust right now. And the longer he's here, I think the more he starts to develop a bit of an underdog story because there's been so many times where David should have gone and he didn't. And I feel like that clearly has something to say about the power that he has within the game. So that really didn't work out. But then, so I was fully on board to take out David. But then I go to sleep on Sunday night because I had to go in extremely early on Monday to the exhaustingly hot Panera because we don't have air conditioning right now. So I wake up and at like 4 a.m, there was this call with all of my alliance except for me. And they now want to switch the vote to Josh because Josh has been really messy. Josh was approaching like Lucy, I guess, and trying to like, get her over to their side of some sorts. And, basically Jess kind of tells me that like Josh isn't really with us right now. Josh is a big threat. And I'm fully down for this because the thing is, I know how Josh plays. I know the kind of person that, I know the kind of player that Josh really is. He's someone that, he charms his way in. That's how he plays. He tries to get you on his side, but it's so fucking hard to get a read on him. You never know how he's going to vote. So I was down to take out Josh, and it seemed like that was going to be the plan for a bit. So at this point, I'm pretty much in full on, like, let's just stir up as much chaos as possible to the Carve Out side. So that way David will play this possible idol that he has, eventually realizing that he probably doesn't have an idol because it just like the way Chantel and Aaron are like talking to me, I just don't think that he has one. And I really don't think after last round that he has one now. So what I think, ultimately I ended up, what I end up doing after that is I talked to Chantel and Aaron. Aaron basically tells me that like, if I were to take out David, like she'd understand it. I kind of concocted this lie, which wasn't fully my idea. This was something the entire Lions came up with, but I very much ran with it, that basically Lucy and Brett are seen as this duo. Lucy's now won immunity. Which I got so close to winning that immunity without answering a single fucking question right. It would have been so funny if I did, but I did not win the immunity. Basically, Lucy does win the immunity here. And basically I use that as a reason to, be like, well, we wanted to target Lucy. Let's go for Brett. I didn't think that it was going to get any traction. Turns out it very much did because Brett got all the votes from Carval. Meanwhile, you have us again, who's wanting to target Josh. And after my call with Aaron, she messages both me and Jess basically saying like, hey, did you hear that Josh, like, are they targeting Josh? And I'm like, why would she know this? Oh, yeah. I also forgot to mention that at this point in the game, Jess is definitely my final two right now. We've created this alliance known as we created this final two sort of chat known as the game changers because we want to be the ones to change up the game. We want to be the ones to be in power. We have not been in the majority for a couple rounds now, and we want to change that up. And I think that that's something that is really going to benefit both of us. And my plan moving forward is to just keep Jess on my good side. I don't want to, betray Jess at any point. I want to stay loyal to her. And she's really the only person at this point that I'm going to be fully honest with. Everyone else, like, I'm going to bullshit when I need to. But Jess is someone that I'm going to stay as honest with as possible. At least that's my goal moving forward. There are still some things I'm not going to tell her, but I'm going to be, more honest with her than I will the majority of people, because I do think my best chance of getting to the end is with her. But going back to what I was saying, so we find out that Josh probably got word that, this vote's going to happen. We don't know what the hell's going on. At the last minute, we were going to switch it to Lee, but then Joe comes up with this idea that we weren't lying to them, that we were actually going to do David. They just thought that we were, they just thought that we were BSing them. And we thought that maybe Josh was kind of using the fact that we were throwing out, David's name as a decoy, but we meant to go for someone else. And then we'd go for someone like Lee because that was less obvious. But that's not what we end up doing. We did vote for David. It seemed like we had the votes at the last minute. Brian fucking flips. And at first I was pissed. I was very annoyed that Brian ended up doing this because I had my suspicions. I had my suspicions that Brian was not with us. I know how close him and Josh are. I know that Josh is someone he's probably not going to have any incentive to turn on. And I know that Josh is someone that can easily bring Brian over to his side because of it. And it seems like that's what happened, but Brian did give me a bit more of a rationale where basically he mainly did it to throw off the sense of him, Lucy, and Brett working together. That was the plan. He didn't want to be seen with the three of them. And I totally understand that because I've been in that position before. I'm not going to hold this against Brian. I'm going to try to still work closely with him. I want to be able to do that. I want to stay in a good position. My goal moving forward is to pivot. That's what I want to do in this game. I want to pivot to wherever it benefits me, but I want Jess to also pivot with me because I think us staying in the same, us being in a similar position is what's good for both of us right now. So I think moving forward, we're going to have to vote with Carval. If Lucy is as drawing dead as much as she thinks she is, we might just have to let her go. I absolutely adore Lucy. She's been one of my favorite people to talk to within this merge phase. But right now, if the votes are on Lucy, I need to prove my loyalty to Carval. I can't get messy. I can't start just throwing votes everywhere. It's not going to look good for me. I need to prove to Carval that I can at least stay loyal to them for a couple rounds and then start looking at people like a David, like a Chantal, who I know Aaron thinks potentially has the merge idol, which not the case because someone else won the idol last night, which I am in fucking disbelief about that I actually have an idol, but I do. I don't know when the hell I'm going to play it, but I do have the idol right now. So that's very exciting to see how that's going to turn out. So we have the idol. We'll see what we end up doing with that. I'm probably not going to end up telling anyone until it really benefits me. I'm going to try to hold on to that thing for as long as I possibly can. And really at this point, like I said, it's about pivoting. It's about pivoting to where it benefits me. I'm going to stick with Carval for a little bit until it doesn't benefit me anymore. If I get to a point where it doesn't benefit me and I want to go with say Joe or something like that, that's exactly what I'm going to do moving forward. And I think that's definitely the way to play it. I spoke to Chantal, basically told her, kind of made up a lie that I didn't think there was votes anywhere else, which I kind of didn't. I didn't think that Carval was actually going to vote for Brett. I thought that they were using Brett as maybe a decoy and they were going to go for me or Jess, which is not what happened, thankfully. But I basically told her that like I don't really trust David. I've heard he's been throwing my name out, and she said she understands it and wants to stick with me. I mostly trust Chantel right now. I think that she's had my back in this game, and I think Aaron is also someone that I can trust. And I think we could possibly pull Aaron in as well as possibly a number for us further down the road, meaning Justin and I. I think that's definitely the way to go about it. But right now, again, it's about pivoting. It's about moving forward. It's about finding the way to put myself in that best position possible, but also find a way to not have to play that idol. I don't want to have to play that idol early on. I've never gotten an idol in a Survivor game before. I want to use it effectively. I want to either use it effectively or pull a Marianne and be like, I never needed this. Like, that's my goal moving forward. So that's really all I have to say. I hope I did well in this challenge. I got like 143, so it's not the worst, but we'll see. We'll see.
Awesome. You like this, like, yeah, you just spilled everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I just have a couple questions from the VL.
Okay.
So, how are you coping in this merge with knowing that your pre-existing ally went home before the merge?
Yeah, it's definitely sucks to have lost Mike for sure. It's very unfortunate that that happened, but like I said before, my goal in this game, I'm not playing for anyone. Like, that's the thing. I'm not playing for anyone. I am playing for myself. And as much as I really wanted Mike to get to the merge, and I do think it was a really stupid move from Madison, that's not my fault. That's entirely like Madison and Chantel's doing. They were the ones who came up with it. I was not told about that vote at all. I don't think it was a smart move for Madison, especially to turn on Mike, because Mike and I were going to try to stay loyal to her. And I really did want Mike at merge. I wanted him to be able to do that. But with how crazy things have become, like, that's not even a thought of mine right now. So it sucks to have lost Mike at the moment, for sure, because I really wanted him to make merge, but I got to move forward. And what I'm thinking about in the game, it just doesn't really involve him. He was never really a priority of mine in the game. He was someone that I wanted to see make merge, but he wasn't going to be like one of my closer allies. So while it sucks to have lost him, there are other things that I'm thinking about within the game. So I'm trying to move forward as possible. And I don't think it's going to play that big of a role moving forward. I actually think it's better that he left when he did, because now I don't have to like constantly walk on eggshells and hide my connection and things like that. I can just be honest, mention the connection that I have with him, and move on. And I think that to me is much better than having to play an entire merge phase and pretend I don't know someone. So I'm glad we were able, it sucks that he left. I'm glad we were able to stay loyal to each other. But like I said, moving forward, that's just not what I'm thinking about right now.
Awesome. Okay. Let's see. If you can compare your game to someone from Survivor 41 and Survivor 42, who would you pick?
Oh God, I don't fucking know. Survivor 41, who am I playing? Like, well, Survivor 42, like I said, I want to play a Marianne type game. I want to be someone who people are underestimating. I want to be in a place where she is, I want it to be like, especially having this idol now, I want to play kind of like she did, where it's like nobody realizes that she has it. And she, takes it out at that, she takes it out at a time where people aren't expecting it. She reveals it at the end, or she just never has to play it. Like, that's kind of like what I want to do. I want people to underestimate me and things like that. That's kind of the game I want to play in terms of Survivor 42. Survivor 41, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. On one hand, I would like to say, I'm going to try to play a Ricard type game, but we all know that's not the kind of game that I could ever get away with playing. So I don't fucking know at this point. I don't know. I honestly have no idea. Survivor 41's tough because I feel like the majority of people, it was very hard to gauge what kind of games they were playing, especially with how bad the editing was. But I don't know. I would like to try to play a Ricard type game. I just don't know if I'd ever be able to actually get away with that. So I guess that's the answer that I will give you. What I don't want to play, I will say what I don't want to play is a Xander or Romeo type game. That's what I don't want to do. I don't want to play a game like Xander where he is out of the majority, has no idea what's going on. And I don't want to play a game like Romeo where he doesn't do anything to put himself in a better position. I want to be able to get myself out of this sticky situation. I want to be in the majority. I want to be able to vote with people. I want to be able to find ways to improve my game. So that's really what my hope is.
Awesome. That's really all I have for you. Thank you so much for sharing.
All right.
I'm gonna stop the recording.